Hello, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys enjoyed the new intro. I'm just experimenting a bit with the intro and the endings here and the general format of the video. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it. And let's get on with the main video. So it's going to be an unboxing of Rubicon's modeled 1/56 scale Tiger 2, the Collins Tiger. I am fully aware of the different variations of this being pronounced. I'm going to call it the King Tiger. So, it's just going to let me... No, it's not going to let me focus. So, apologies about that. So, we'll start off with the usual things. We'll have the outside of the box, and then we'll have a look at the contents, the instructions, and then the individual sprues themselves. I will do a little bit of history with the Tiger itself, and I will leave timestamps for you guys, so if you want to skip to a particular point, you can do that. I'll also put the timestamps up on the top here, so again, if you want to jump to that particular moment, go ahead. So, history. So the history of the King Tiger... Yes, I said I'm going to call it the King Tiger. So it was designed back in 1943, interestingly enough, and was produced in 44 to the end of the war, basically. Only 492 odd were built, and generally it's pretty much shared, and I'm going to somebody's going to point out that this isn't correct, but it shared the same engine with the Tiger. That thing was already struggling as it was, so they gave the same engine to a much bigger, arguably more powerful tank as well. So one of the common misconceptions we'll see in the inside as well, because this comes with both sets of turrets. So you get this one, which is called the Henschel turret, and the other one, which has the rounded nose bit, which is called the Porsche turret. Henschel and Porsche had nothing to do with naming the turrets. One was a prototype turret with the rounded front, and the flat top, or the flat front even, was the production turret. That was no idea where the Henschel and Porsche came from. Not a lot could actually penetrate through the front of this thing. You had to really go around the sides and take it on, but at least for the US and British, I don't think they encountered this thing very much at all. Mostly used for the Russians. Oops. Sorry, camera's shaking. The gun, it's still the 88mm, 8.8 centimeter gun used on the Tiger, except that's only the diameter of the barrel. The gun itself is different. So the one mounted on this is the 8.8 KWK-43 Camp Wagon Cannon. I thought it was going to be hard to pronounce for some reason. Yeah, generally was a much bigger, much longer barrel and a much bigger shell. This would actually allow it to carry a heavier propellant charge, propelling that deadly 8.8 shell much faster down at the enemy, punching more through the armour. So, only a little bit of history on the Tiger. I know King Tiger even. I know quite a few other channels do a much better job at this. So, outside of the box. So, the front art, we got a nice image of the King Tiger going through the woods. One of the few places where few places where you really do not want to see a tank. And that's both your commanders and the enemy commanders, because tank in woods ain't that maneuverable. Unless it can knock down all the trees in the way. Potentially what this thing did. Apologies for the glare, but it's the only source of light I've got, and so if I turn this off, you can't see the video. So apologies for the glare there. But it just says STKFC 182 underneath that, which is the production model army code for the King Tiger. So at the top here we got with initial or production turrets with Zimmerit. We'll get inside because the production turret also has a variant without Zimmerit as well. The Zimmerit, for those that don't know, is the anti-magnetic paste cement that they would put over the tanks to stop magnetic mines sticking to it. From what I know, the only people to use magnetic mines were the Germans. So similar to how the Russians trained dogs to carry mines under Russian tanks, the Germans created a counter for their own mines. Yeah, okay then. So we have a choice to build with or without the interior. This is the biggest bonus with this kit, in my eyes. It has full interior, this thing, and 156 scale. It's quite impressive. All round, full detailed track links. Okay. Optional mudguards and accessories. Yep, the mudguards come separately. Photo etched for the air intakes, which you can see it says up here about the photo etch. Open or closed commander and crew hatches. Yep. And comes with 5 Panzer crew figures. Commander, gunner, loader, driver, and radio man. What's that there? Well, just notice on the box art, how does the driver see out the front? There's literally no hole there for him. Okie dokie, let's have a look at that side. So, this side we got is that the actual picture of the model? Yeah, that's the actual picture of the model. So I just had to see over the camera. Zimmer full option interior, yeah. This side, again, Tiger 2 King's Tiger, just advertising for interior, and that looks like it's the picture of the model again. Rubicon's brilliant because if you can't catch the Rubicon thing here, well you can, and you want to look for a particular range, so the German models, the British or the Americans or the Russians, I think that's the 4 they do specifically. Look for the box design, because each one of these on the side here has a different colour. Go have a look at the 2 videos I did for the truck, I can't remember, I think it was the CWT30 and the 25 pounder, because they're both Rubicons for the British, so you can tell the difference between the British and the Germans. Very handy, that little feature. This side, exactly the same as the other side, and I can imagine, a little different, so you can display the box this way around. And the back bit. So there we go. So we got the decals, we got the paints to use in Vallejo. Sorry for the blurriness. I will try and put a screenshot in of the text in a minute so you can actually see what the text actually says. But it's basically a history of the King Tiger. And at the top here, I have to take the camera. It gives you the initial turret and the production, not the prototype, sorry, the initial turret there, and gives you a clue on the full interior. Again, I'll take screenshots of this bit so you can pause it, read, and have a look at the detail there. Alright, let's do the unboxing. So, unlike a normal box lid, this is actually got a couple of these tabs on the end. So just pull these out, lift them up, and throw you out of the way. So we have the decal sheet. Yeah, we've got the decal sheet. The instructions, very important. And a lot of sprues. So we've got This one that has mainly the shells and the photo etching. The 2 turrets and not the mudguards, but the side armour. Another turret, yes, there's another turret there, and the cannons there. There's more shells. The hull and the wheels. There's quite a lot of wheels in this. Plus some of the crew. That'll be interesting. Oh, there's your mudguards. Put the wheels on and the interior. That's what it mostly looks like. Plus small crew. And the last thing in the box is the wheels. So that's everything in the box. Let's jump cut to the instructions. Instructions, right. So we've got a couple of good images, so it shows the full interior as well as the basic breakdown. Some warnings, choices, drill holes, glue. It says bend, but again there's no bending in this thing. Use ABS plastic cement. That's interesting because photo etch will not work with that. So let's open them up. Start off with the wheels. Yay. Highly recommend when it comes to like especially tanks, but especially like the German vehicles, paint the stuff up before gluing it together, especially like the interwoven wheels, because it will prove a nightmare to paint once it's all assembled. You probably can't see it, especially when you start putting tracks on, but satisfaction to know it's there. So left side wheels, sprocket, and then you got to put the tracks on. As you can see, not all the tracks, only the ones that go around the sprocket are, and the idler, you need to glue on separately. The rest of it is all straight tracks. And the same for the right side. Lower hole assembly, so you have to put, I love how it's like the towing eyelets. You gotta put, it says do not cement there, do not glue. So they just pop in and clip in and then just stay there, so nice and loose, until you paint them, in which case they then become a bit more solid. It does say stick a magnet here. It becomes obvious later for those that are not aware, but basically it just gives there's a magnetic at the bottom end of the turret, so you can put it all together and it holds it nicely together. Well, and also gives you a chance to spin the turret around. Then it comes onto the back, so you've got all the exhausts and the mud flaps there. Glue in, do not glue the more eyelets. Upper hole, drill holes. A little bit important if it focuses. There we go. So if you're planning on using the early Porsche, I love how it highlights Porsche turret, you must drill out these certain holes. Again, if you're using the if you're using the Porsche turret, you've got to use that ring. So yeah, it gives you the option, but make sure you read the instructions and decide what you're making first. Because, I say, after, when do we get up to step 18 is when you have to make that decision, which is quite early on in this book. So, oops, come over. There you go, so we've got to glue the sides on. I'm not overly keen on this. I appreciate it's done for level of detail, but I don't really like it when the side panels are separate to the main fuselage, or main fuselage, the airplane and me talking, the hull. So, yeah, it's like a couple of tabs or like I'm going to call it a shelf, somebody's going to correct me. Shelf way, basically you just put the top on the side there. Probably a bit more awkward that way, but I'm not keen on that design, to be honest. If it works for you, it works for you. Then the front on the other side. And the mudguards. And the mudguards, it says here you can actually cut off whatever you like. So you can see, you've seen many of the footage of tigers or king tigers where, like this, they're missing some mudguards where they just get broken off, ripped off by tree stuff. They weren't going to really replace it, were they? And finally, turret. Continue for production turret. I've always skipped to step 25 for the early turret. There's the other magnet. So, yep, it says do not glue here, so you can have the gun move up and down. Assuming the loader and the gunner are in the way. So that's the Henschel turret. And the Porsche turret, that design. There's all your crew. They had to put them in there somewhere. Engine, yes, this thing comes with an engine. It does, let's say, full interior. It's amazing, this kit. So, yep, there's your full interior. A little bit more, well, not full interior, beg your pardon. There's the engine. Upper hull. And more inner hull. Or lower hull, inner details. And in fact, you actually start making the engine bay there. Start loading this thing up with shells. Quite a few. I think this had about like 50, 70 odd shells in it. It's a lot in there. So got to put the engine in. More of the shells. I say there's loads of shells in this thing. Then we get onto the turrets. So Henschel design for the top. Ammo for in the turret, the ready rack. Plus put the loader and gunner in there. And the Henschel turret have the hatch open and closed, and then put the barrel in. Just gives the one barrel there. But then there's the commander. You might see why I comment about the barrel in a minute. And final assembly is all that. Put the turret into the top half onto the lower half, and then glue the front on. You can probably do that without this bit as well. Flip the page over, and we get the Porsche design, which is pretty much the exact same, and two different barrels. So depending on what you're doing with the Porsche design, you'll need to, if you got real world reference photos, use them to figure out which barrel specifically for the tank you want to redo or make a miniature. And then the same again there. Then there's the Sprues. History on the Tiger again, which I think might be the same. No, it's different to what's on the back. So, yep. Pause that and you can read it. And a couple of little colour guides, as well as all the shells, which are nice and easy. They're in aluminium, well, be steel rather than aluminium, but. And a little bit of advertising for all the different tanks they do. Alright, let's have a look at the sprues. So we're going to start at the bottom of the box. And we have the wheels and the tracks and the out of focus. There we go. So yeah, the wheels look really nicely detailed. All the rivets and stuff, it's all nicely nicely moulded. The tracks are nicely moulded as well there. There's the idler. And specifically, it will only go in one way, thankfully, because you got the individual track links, which are there. So, yeah, all looks quite nice there. And let's flip them over and have a look. And on the back of the wheels, no detail. Which, in theory, you wouldn't be able to see anyway, so that's not that much of a loss. The inside of the tracks, ironically, I say the inside, and they look like the outside. Oh well. But yeah, the inside looks quite nice. Yeah, it looks quite nice. All the detail there, so I'm kind of repeating myself here. Okay, so that's the wheels. Let's get the next sprue on. So the next sprue, we have the hull. So let's start down this end. So, you even got the gearing around the outside. Oh, that's a nice level of detail there. That's nice. I like that. So we've got the engine cover, the front with the hatches for the driver and the radioman. I think that'd be off the front for the sprocket wheel to go on. Even the underside of the hull, I was about to say fuselage again. The underside of the hull even has all the hatches. That is nice. You're not going to ever see this, but it's so nice that they provide that level of detail there. All the towing eyelets, the little light, wire cutters, tow rope, something. Pretty certain that's the fire extinguisher. Let's have a look at this side. So we got more wheels and the sprocket wheel. I think that's the mud guard. We'll have a that's the mud guard for the back and the front. That's to hold the cannon onto the turret. I recognise those from the instructions. And these little hooks, that will be for spare tracks to put on the side of the turret. Provide that extra level of armour, even if it was only emotional support armour. So we have crew members. I'm not going to particularly name each of these, but other than that is probably the commander with the binoculars. I would say that's probably the commander's head. Interesting. And there's the commander. That's probably the loader, and that'd be the driver over there. So I'm just going to point out in the instructions, because it does say B, F, and K there. And if you look at the instructions, it'll tell you which one's which. But I'll put the instructions away so I can't see them. Underside. So we'll start down here again. So we've got the eyelets. So maybe you're not going to see much there, because that's going to be up against the side of the hull. This is the inside, so you've got the engine bay here, and then you've got the rack so you can put all the shells on, as well as a few other bits. The underside of the top half. I'm now disappointed. There's not a lot of detail here. Which, again, you're not going to see this bit, so considering you're not really going to see this, the level of detail there, I can live with it. Quite a lot of ejection pin marks there. Luckily you're on the inside where you're not going to spot it. Unlike this bit, where you are going to see it, but it's not there. So add a bonus. Right, there's your engine. The crew hatches. Right, we'll do the crew in a minute. Let's have a look at the sprocket wheels. Nice. So not too much there, but again, not going to see it. Mud flaps. Pretty certain that's the ring that goes around the outside of the commander's hatch. Speaking of the commander, let's have a look at the crew. So that man has no feet. Doesn't look too bad. The eagles, just trying to see in real life, because they do have the German eagle just there, which isn't coming out. Not well moulded. It's quite rounded edges, even on the eagle, as opposed to more like the hard corner lines. But not too bad. Right, let's go on to the next sprue. So the next sprue has the interior and the sides on it. So we got 2 more crew members there. This man does have feet, as opposed to the other sitting man, which didn't. That must be the loader, because he has a shell right there. That must be for him. Loader sat down on the job. I'll let tank commanders joke about that one. So we've got the tow rope, cover for the engine, the side skirts for the Tiger. There's the back plate, couple of hatches, exhaust covers, the starter rod. You stick that in the back of the Tiger, so you stick that into, I want to say that hole, but I know somebody's going to point out it's that one, but I think it's that one. And you basically start gearing up turning the starter motor over. And then when you get up to a certain point, you then engage it into the engine, and it turns the engine over. It starts it. Got the machine gun there. Mud flap and the interior of, well, the inside of the trucks. Mudguard. Front plate, is that? Beg your pardon. Yeah. You can have the front without Zimmer as well. That is nice. I think that's the side without Zimmer. Yeah, that's the side without Zimmer as well. So you can make this with or without Zimmer armour. Ooh, that's a real extra level of detail. Commander's hatch, more for the guns and wooden blocks, shovel, the jack, the lift. There's the interior, very nice. As well as the turret there. So, might have caught this earlier, but there's the magnets. They've actually got a specific point on the sprue where they put the magnets. So I can imagine if I take out this one. I'm not going to take that one out, because no doubt I will then in turn lose the other magnet right there. So there's the joining arms, or not joining arms, all the arms for the suspension, torsion bar suspension, and a couple of little bump stops as well. So basically it stops the first and last wheel from going too far up if like trying to climb over a rock or a wall or something. So very nice. Right, next sprue. Next sprue comes in 2 pieces once it focuses. So the photo etch. There you go, it's upside down, but nice fine mesh. You're gonna see what's underneath there, so paint before gluing on. And here we've got mostly shells. Some extra bits there. There's the air intakes, air vents. That'll be in for the inside on the wall. That's the engine bay as well. Speaking of the engine, and its various different components. And then more shells. And the flip side really isn't that spectacular. Okay. Next sprue, that was a nice quick one. Next one, it's the turret with Zimmerit, as well as the sides with Zimmerit. That's the front of the Porsche turret, front of the Henschels, the back. You know, the back pieces for 2 of them separately, yeah. So to a point, you could make both turrets, but you can't display both turrets on the tank. Because I know for a fact that the connecting pieces to join the like the breech, the recoil springs and breech inside, you only get 2 of those, one for each side, to connect that to the lower half of the turret. So yeah, you can only make one or the other. You can make both, represent both, but you're going to display the tank with one. But all the Zimmer on there looks quite nicely detailed. There's literally, apart from the turrets, but the turrets literally will be quite bland on the inside. Next sprue. And the last sprue, so you get your three gun barrels. There's the breech I was on about earlier, or 2 of them actually. Some more bits there for the turret, which is the unzimmered version. So if you so wish to do that. There's the shells. There's the ring, so if you're making the Porsche design turret, then you need to glue that onto the top half of the hull first. Inside the turret with the gunner seat there. Very nice. In fact, that's probably commander seat. Gunner seat would be more up the front here. And aside with the barrels yet again. Breech blocks, which actually look like they're open. Overall, quite nice. Okay, that's the last sprue, so I'll box up and final thoughts. So, final thoughts. This kit is unbelievable, is my final thoughts on this one, to be honest. Especially when I tell you the price. So, on average, you look at a standard 56 28mm, let's say 56 scale 28mm model. For a tank, 20 quid, quite reasonable, but you're not going to expect much with it. In some cases 30 for plastic kits, 40, 50 quid for resin kits. This kit, all plastic with a little bit of photo etch, a couple of magnets, with full interior, was £24. £24 and you get all this. It's an absolute bargain of a kit. And it's just completely unbelievable. But it's true, I paid 20, well, technically I didn't, this is a Christmas present, but 24 quid for this, absolute bargain. And the kit itself is amazing. Full interior, I can imagine there will be quite a few problems trying to put this whole thing together. But just the sheer amount of detail, it's going to take forever to paint. Unless you're going to just glue everything together and say sod the interior, in which case probably take you no more than maybe a week. But with trying to do the interior as well, I'm going to try and have it so I can literally take the top off and then show off the full interior. And then put it all back together and then leave it on a shelf for about half a year. But, yeah, considering, yeah, it's unbelievable. I can't wait to actually make this one. Can't wait, but I will have to wait, unfortunately. Got quite a few projects on the go. I know this one I really just want to focus on and have purely this one on the go at the time. Because it will be so many different sub-assemblies. I have the wheels going at the same time as the interior, as the turret, as trying to paint up, well, at least paint up the Zimmer on the outside at least. So, yeah, final thought. So, really going to enjoy this one. So, if you like the video, hit the like, please subscribe. A lot of the viewers are not subscribed yet, so I'm like 97% last time I checked. So, yeah, please subscribe, it really helps. And I will catch you on the next video. Thanks, bye.